in just a second. We have him. He's on the phone. All right, we got Tom Crean on the phone here. Tom Crean, former college coach for a couple players that are still playing in the NBA Conference Finals, Anthony Edwards, OG Anunoby, Thomas Bryant. Coach, we appreciate you taking the time to join us today. How does it feel to have a couple players in the conference finals and know that you helped them get to this point?
I think it always feels great. And fortunately, throughout the time, Dwayne Wade won 3 championships and had some other finals appearances. OG Anunoby and Thomas Bryant have both won championships, even though they didn't have the role that they have now. So anytime you have guys playing into the playoffs, playing deep like this, it's awesome. I'm going to watch them anyways. But when you've got your guys involved in it, you're invested even that much more. So it really is fun to watch.
Tom, let's talk about tonight and the Timberwolves and the Thunder game. And your guy, Anthony Edwards, obviously the crux of this Timberwolves season. It just tell us about his mentality in these type of spots. You know him much better than we do, obviously. Like, what's he like in these types of spots where kind of back against the wall?
Well, I'll be really surprised if he doesn't play really well tonight. I'll be surprised if the Timberwolves don't play really well. I think he's playing more efficiently. He was certainly better on his attack from game 1 to game 2. There's the two issues that I see, mainly for Minnesota on the offensive end. Yeah, they're shooting a lot of threes, but they're missing a lot of threes. They're missing a lot of open threes. And so if there's a better mix, if there's a better combination of getting to the rim, making the three, I think they've missed some real kickouts on some of their drives. And I think they've got to do a better job of making the next pass because they get it reversed, but there's always one more. And there's that old saying of going from good to great, offensively. And sometimes they'll be in the paint and there'll be one more pass to be made for an open three. But again, I say that if you make more open threes that they've had, they're going to be in better shape. But the bottom line, guys, on this whole series, really both of them, but in this series is the points off turnovers. And in the last 2 games, it's 53-20, Oklahoma City versus Minnesota in points off turnovers. And if you go back to the last game of the series with Denver, with Oklahoma City, now all of a sudden it's 90-17 in their last 3 games. And that's where the problems have been. Minnesota's been a little loose with the ball at times. They have passes deflected. Oklahoma City just keeps coming at you. And the spurtability that they have comes on creating turnovers, and it comes on, getting long rebounds and being out and running. So that's where Minnesota's got to be way, way better tonight. They cannot give up those type of live ball turnovers because Oklahoma City just thrives on them.
Tom, Anthony Edwards said, I believe it was during the Lakers series, that you guys text all the time, and you had texted him prior to one of the games and questioned, are you having fun while you're playing? Because when you're playing your best, you're oftentimes having fun and smiling on the court. Is there anything that you've texted him either today, yesterday, leading up to this games in this series against Oklahoma City?
Well, we have this morning, but it was more basketball related. It was more just things that are there on the court. But I think he's in a good place. I really do. I think I'm not sure if I'll talk to him or text with him before the game or not today, but I think he's in a good spot. I think they're going to be at home. I think there's going to be a ton of energy in that building. They've played better. I think there's a lot of things that you could point to. You say, okay, we got to be better at this. But there's a few things that you absolutely have to highlight that they've got to be better at. And I think that's what we talked about, the threes, the points off turnovers. And then I just think they've got to play with more pace. Both of the teams that are winning these series, whether it be Indiana or whether it be Oklahoma City, they're playing with incredible pace. And the points off turnovers become a part of that because they wear you down. But I fully expect that he's going to play well. I see him in a very good spot right now. And what I love most about him is he's constantly making points to his teammates to keep them upticked. And I think, when you think about it, he's 23, but this is his third straight Western Conference, or second straight Western Conference Finals. So he's been in this situation, and I think he'll thrive tonight. I really do.
Tom, if you think that Anthony Edwards and the Timberwolves play well tonight, it sounds like you think that they might win this game tonight. Our friend Kate here is going to Game 4 in Minnesota. Give Kate a pep talk. If you think the Timberwolves win tonight, how do you see the rest of the series going?
I'm scared, Tom.
Do you think the Timberwolves can get back into the series, assuming that they win tonight? Like it sounds like you think they do.
Oh, I do. I think if they win tonight, I think they win on Monday as well.
There you go,
absolutely.
Kate.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Minnesota and Oklahoma City is really good. That's not to say Oklahoma City is not going to win the series and win the championship. I mean, they're that good. But I do think Minnesota is better than what they've played. They've not played like they're comfortable, and I think, and when I say that, it's some ill-timed shots, it's some settled shots, it's not playing with their eyes up, like I said earlier, making that next pass, it's missing open threes. DiVincenzo is a key. I think it's probably the night that he's going to really need to break out. I mean, it gets a little late if it's not, but I think he's the kind of guy been in these types of situations too. He's missed some open shots. I think they're going to have a good game. I really do, and I think that crowd is going to be a factor.
This is the Better Angle with Kate Constable, Jake Hasan. We're talking to Tom Crean, former coach at Marquette, Illinois, and Indiana. I'm sorry, Indiana. Same
That's okay.
high school, Big Ten, all that good stuff.
That's all right.
Tom, you also have a former player, Thomas Bryant, on the Pacers. Like this Pacers team, I'm not going to say they've come out of nowhere because that is nowhere near the case. They started slow this season, but like this playoffs, they've just come alive. What are you seeing from that team that's made them such a difficult matchup for New York?
They play so fast, and they really don't run a lot of sets, but they get in action to get it started, and their ball movement is so good. And they screen. They really do a good job of screening. They're a team that can play 5 out. There's games, like we can go back to the series in Cleveland, like they were constantly throwing the ball ahead. Like they really do take what the game has given them. Well, lately it's been more Halliburton coming down and getting the first screen and what's called like pistol action, which is a side type of screen that kind of comes up the sideline. Well, they get all these different angles, whether it's on either sideline, whether it's in the middle. And what they're doing is they're just creating help all over the court. But at the same time, New York, when New York moves the ball, when New York is attacking their guards, because they were really able to hurt Indiana's guards in one-on-one drives. I mean, Indiana is a team that they're a 5-man team offensively, and that's what they want to be defensively. And every time you put them into a situation where they become more of a one-on-one team, where they have to guard you, I think that's been in the Knicks' benefit. But the Knicks haven't done enough moving of the ball to create enough of those situations. And I think I think New York has really hurt themselves somewhat offensively and kind of let Indiana off the hook with that. But Indiana, again, points off turnovers. It's 44-16 in 2 games. I mean, they have a unique way to keep the game going. A lot of it is because of the bench play, but they never have a guard that's handling the ball that's not looking to attack and make a play for somebody else. And they're constantly getting great movement. They're getting great movement from one side to the other. And then where Thomas Bryant comes in is you have Miles Turner and Thomas Bryant basically playing the position. Siakam was so good last night and with the 39 points. And I don't think New York's done nearly enough to attack him defensively. But the Miles Turner, Thomas Bryant, those guys being factors, the way they shoot the ball, and when Siakam is commanding help and people to come to him, and now he's passing the ball better, even though he had 39, that just makes them that much more dangerous. But they are it's a great series. I think New York, I think this thing, they have to get a game, at least one game in this, and get this thing back to a situation where they can get it back home, even if it is 3-1. Now all of a sudden you go home, you try to get a win, you come back to Indiana, that's the series right there in a 3-2 game.
Well, Tom, let's talk about that. Do you think that New York can get one in Indiana?
Oh,
I mean, we were talking earlier in the show. It's Indy 500 weekend in Indianapolis. That place is going to be insane. Tyrese Halliburton saying post-game, yeah, we're expecting the place to be a circus. It's going to be rowdy. People are going to be partying all day, then go into the game. That's going to be a tough atmosphere for the Knicks. And you already mentioned that the Knicks, they struggle with the Pacers' depth. Do you think that the Knicks get Game 4, Game 3, both? How do you see this playing out tomorrow?
Well, I think they've got to get one. I think they've at least got to get one to keep this thing in a good spot to get back to New York, and then the pressure really mounts if you come back for Game 6 to Indiana and it's 3-2. It mounts on Indiana. But I think New York, just as Indiana has been very good on the road, so has New York. And New York's issues are more self-inflicted. And again, it's the turnovers at times, but it's the other night, that fatigue was a real factor, I think, at the end of the game. And because in those situations where Nesmith was hitting those threes, the communication defensively was not nearly as good. There was way too many late switch calls. They were backed off at certain times. The communication of New York has been like early season training camp level. It hasn't even been close to what it's got to be when you watch it on television. And so that's all correctable stuff. Like, it's not like they haven't already played 90-some-odd games together. Like, that communication defensively has got to be better. Now, I say that because if you go on the road and you don't have communication in that building, or you're not locked into your switches, you're not locked into your defensive assignments, Indiana can blow you out. But where they have been really good, New York has, is they have had an ability to band together on the road. So I do think they get at least one. I think there's going to be so much hype surrounding Indiana that's where they've got to make sure, New York's got to make sure their focus is just lock solid and play the game and play with toughness. And like I said, it's a lot of self-inflicted stuff. They're not moving the ball. They can get a one-on-one drive when they want it, but they're not doing nearly enough of attack and closeouts, which create more opportunities for open threes and create more opportunities for offensive rebounds. And then the other thing I would say, if people are watching this, I think New York has been very average, less than average, at getting back defensively on shots when the shot's been taken out of or when they've got people in the corners. So the corner people have not done a great job, and what those long rebounds create is the Pacers are just off and running. And so many games come down to who dominates who wins the 5-on-4 battle in a game. Who's got 5 offensive players against 4 defensive players because one guy didn't get back as quick. And to me, from what I see, Indiana's doing a much better job taking advantage of that versus New York than New York is on the other side of it.
Tom, I want to follow up really fast on something that you said there during that answer that was really interesting. And we got a couple minutes left. So in about 60 seconds, I just want to ask you, you mentioned that this seems like training camp levels of communication and the Knicks aren't getting back. Do you think part of that is that this team is just gassed? Like, we talked earlier in the show about how much Tom Thibodeau keeps his starters and his stars on the court. Do you think this team is maybe just gassed and so they're relying on Jalen Brunson? We got about 60 seconds.
No, I think Jalen sometimes tries to do too much. I think he can score when he wants. I think, like, here's an example. They are really loading up what's called elbow help, heavy gap help would be a term, right? Where Jalen comes off a ball screen and there's somebody sitting right there in the elbow. Well, that's an open kick, right? Like, you got to make that pass. And there's too many times that doesn't happen. But no, I don't think the fatigue level is affecting the communication. I think the fatigue level at times can affect how quick you get back, how well you sprint from the corner back. I think it can impact your lack of maybe rebounding and blocking out. But there's no in the playoff level, there's nothing fatigue that should be stopping people from communicating at a much higher level. And one of the problems the Knicks has had, especially with Karl Anthony Towns, is they make late switch calls. So they're communicating, but it's late. And the Pacers are just too good to take advantage of things like that. So that's definitely got to get better for New York quickly.
Coach, we appreciate you taking the time to join us today. Thanks for all of the insight. And let's go Wolves. Let's hope Ann has a big night tonight.
Yep, absolutely. That's going to be should be a great game tonight.
We will talk to you again soon. Thanks, Tom.
Have fun on Monday, too. Thank you.
Thank you. I will.
Right.
That's Tom Crean, head coach at Marquette, Georgia, and Indiana.
Famously.